This is the worst. It really is. And for so many reasons. So many reasons. This is the worst. And we're going to do this. We're just going to do, hey, Drew, long time no see. We're just going to do this very casual. I was trying to prepare, but it's so long and it's so infuriating. I'm angry. I know you guys are angry. I know everyone is angry. It's ridiculous. I read this, most of it last night. I was up really, really late because I had worked on the last thing. And so I had missed all this. I was just writing and recording and editing my Perez episode. I had no idea this was happening until I premiered it and people were talking about it in the comments. So I had to download the whole thing, print the whole thing, and then start. So I was up really late going through this. And then what I didn't finish last night, I did this morning. So I'm not going to waste any more time trying to prepare this because I think, I can't wait to see what Not Actually Golden has to say about it. But I like to do my stuff before I watch anybody else because I like it to be legitimately my own and not influenced by anything I've heard. But I'm sure their takes are much better than mine and much more informed than mine. But I just want to say this. Normally I say stay away from ChatGPT, stay away from AI. I hate that stuff. If ever an attorney needed it, this one did it because this is so sloppily written. It's so bad. And everything about this is meant to cause harm. The words they chose, the way they target specifically Justin. And you guys know I always say, we need to stop saying Justin. We need to say Wayfair. And that's why I chose this picture, because these people are forgetting that the people that they're hurting, it's not just one person. It's a lot of people. And I refrained from putting their children in here, but these people have children, little children too. This is affecting so many lives. And for what? I more than ever, I believe this really was, Blake wanted to be somebody. She had, as a fledgling actress, she had a career on a cable channel on TV. She had just started to break into movies. She had a hit, and then she married Ryan. As far as I'm concerned, Ryan didn't really want her out there working. He had her focused on a family. Nothing wrong with that. She was a stay-at-home mom for years. There's nothing wrong with that. But as everybody started passing her by, and Ryan he had his hit, he got Deadpool, all of the rest of her friends were passing her up career-wise. And Hollywood doesn't wait. It doesn't wait for you. So while she was off being a stay-at-home mom, not really doing much out there, and I heard her talking in an interview recently, and she was trying to describe her career, and she said something about dozens of movies, like she had made dozens of movies. We have been through her actual career. It was a long time ago. I made a whole episode about hers and Ryan's careers. She has not done dozens of movies. She had one hit movie, Pam asked. She had a hit movie. It was called Shallows. And I think it was a hit because she was still doing Gossip Girls. And I think she spent most of the movie in a bikini. But nothing after that has been successful. She was, she's getting close to 40. Her friends are passing her up. Her husband became wildly successful with Deadpool and business deal. I mean, his money did not come from Hollywood. He had flop after flop after flop. I've reviewed all of this. So she decided that she wanted to be a big name star. She didn't earn it. You have to earn that stuff. She wanted to be a director. She didn't earn it. She wanted to be a producer. She didn't earn it. She had made a few movies a long time ago, but came in thinking, because my husband's big stuff, my friends are big stuff, I'm going to be big stuff. So she took over this movie. She didn't conform to the character. She wanted the character to be her. I believe she even went as far as having an identity crisis in this thing, like believing she was Lily Bloom, and wanted this to be her thing. She wanted the next movie. She probably was going to Deadpool it, just like Ryan did. went about taking this movie over. And then she took the cast over. And I'm kind of rambling because when I finished reading it today, I just got myself all mad again. And I was trying to get myself together. And I thought, they're going to be coming, Wayfair is going to have an answer to this pretty soon, I'm sure. And so this will all be old news. I'm like, it's not going to get better. We're just going to plow through this. So this is them after the movie. This has come up a million times on TikTok and everything. This was all going on during the promotion of the movie. And what do we see? We saw, okay, the most disturbing is the top middle. She's got this girl in her bed doing a sleepover like they're teenagers. This is weird, but this is what she did. She love bombed these people, especially Isabela. People were talking about how Blake was embarrassing herself by dominating her. All of this body language, all of this grabbing, this is not affection. These people were basic strangers. They did not film together. They were not on the set at the same time. They didn't bond. This was calculated control. She flew them around in her private jet. She brought them to things that they hadn't even been invited to, weren't even supposed to be at, but she took them there. She took Isabela out to dinner around New York, but everything she did was calculated. She got these people all on her side, and they just believed her. And as far as the believing, I do want to say, if someone you know and they're nice to you and you think they're a good person and they say, oh, this happened to me, and you weren't there and you have no reason not to believe them, chances are you are going to believe them. So I don't falter for buying Blake's story in the beginning. All of this, I feel, now this is my opinion, don't subpoena me again, Blake. You're a weirdo, in my opinion. And you controlled all of this. So I looked this up about body language because I'm like, why is she grabbing on her like this? This is not affection. These people don't know each other. It is establishing dominance. All of the ways that she grabbed her, puffing herself up, taking a bigger space, controlling the conversation, all of this stuff was a calculated overwhelm meant to captivate Isabela. And it worked. At least at the time it worked. I don't know what happened now because I do know that she did delete the pictures of herself with Blake. And she did delete those off the Instagram. So I don't know if it's when she got served by the subpoena, because I don't remember when it happened. But it turns out that Blake served her a long time ago. So it could have been at that time. I don't know if she was angry or if she just wanted to disappear the connection that they had. We don't know at this point how connected she is to Blake. And I'm mad, so I'm scattered and not my normal self, how I like to deal with these things. But this document is so badly written, and everything about it is meant for shock value and to get people talking and to get pens writing and to make Justin look bad. They talk about Justin like he is the only person involved in this. And it's not Justin talking to her. It's not even Justin's personal attorneys talking to her. These are attorneys that are taking care of the movie stuff. This all goes through the movie stuff. The indemnity clause, everything is through the movie. It's different attorneys, but they put everything in Justin's name just to keep repeating his name together with these words like harassment. This is about a subpoena. You have two options when you receive a subpoena. You either consent and give what they want, or you file a motion to quash. What is all of this? How many pages? 23 pages of just this rambling document that repeats itself, makes wild accusations with zero proof over and over and over again for 23 pages. Then we have a declaration, and then we have all of these stupid, worthless exhibits that prove nothing. None of these claims that are made in here. All these people had to do is accept the subpoena. It comes from the court. You can't run away from this. Accept it or quash it. But what is all of this? This makes no sense. It has no place on this docket. It's absolutely stupid. That's what it is. It's stupid. And it starts off, second paragraph, right away with this whole, they're trying to manipulate the press. How are they manipulating the press? We just found out about this. This has been going on for months. And we finally hear about it because you know why? We're getting down to the deadline of this stuff. He needs her information. So he's been putting it off, turns out, for months. And he needs it. He needs it dealt with. He needs someone to accept this subpoena. And obviously the addresses that she has put out there that he has access to are not her addresses. So everyone was up in arms, and I was disgusted about her address being put there. Well, turns out it's not her address. And that's why they didn't bother to redact it, because it's not her address. But still, in my opinion, it should have been marked out just for the appearance sake of it. But they're talking about her personal information. She doesn't live there. So she hasn't updated her address with them. These attorneys will not accept the subpoena for them. And we know how close we are to the end of all this. The deadline's already been extended once. So they've already missed one chance and dragged it still. Now we're coming up to another deadline, and that's going to be it. He has to get this information. It's so frustrating. I do not understand what 23 pages and all this extra stuff is even doing. But to start off, sir, this is your first document on this whole case. And you're going to jump on this wagon and go, it's all for press. What do you know about any of this? And if anything, this document is meant for press. From what I understand, this law firm has some connection somehow with Ryan. I haven't been able to investigate it fully. I don't know if this is who Isabel chose, if Ryan hired him for her, where they came from, or if they were assigned by this indemnity. Who knows where he came from? But what a ridiculous, absolute mess this all is. So he spends this whole paragraph talking about Baldoni. Knock it off. This is not a Justin situation. We have multiple people being sued. We have Wayfair. We have several parties of Wayfair. We have the movie itself. This target to just keep saying his name, along with the words manipulate, threaten, control, act inappropriately. These words are so specifically chosen to stand out so that they can be put in headlines. Because you better believe headline grabbers are going to go, Baldoni's manipulating, Baldoni's threatening, Baldoni's controlling, Baldoni's acting inappropriately, Baldoni's harassing. That's what this document is all about. And they make accusation after accusation in the whole 23 pages so that when media picks this up, those are the words you better believe they're going to say. Baldoni manipulated Isabela. Baldoni threatened Isabela. Baldoni controlled. Baldoni acted inappropriately. Baldoni harassed. That's why these words are in here. Yeah, they couldn't even spell Wayfair. That's true. It's like, who wrote this? It's so bad. But and that's the purpose. 23 pages of accusations. And when you make an accusation in a legal document, you have to back it up. You have to put dates, you have to put times, you have to put places, you have to put in quotations things that were said, and then you need to put proof of it. There's nothing. When I saw these exhibits, I'm like, oh boy, what's this going to be? I thought it was going to be conversations between Justin and her. If you're going to say that he was harassing her, you better back it up. Otherwise, it's just defamation. But no, it's not here. These exhibits are worthless and stupid. I'm going to say stupid a lot because this whole thing is stupid. So after saying all of those words, I'm expecting there's going to be something really awful. Nothing. Nothing to back up any of these words. So they say no efforts have been made by Baldoni to determine her actual residential or business address. How do you know that? How do you know what kind of efforts? And you know what? It's not Justin sitting there by himself looking her up. So putting this all on Baldoni is a ridiculous thing to do in the first place. And like I said, it's all just for how it's going to be picked up and worded in the media. How do they know what efforts he's made? Because when I started looking through the email in his exhibit, I see that they've been trying to get her served for months because they were trying to get before the first deadline. How is he saying that they haven't tried to find her address? They've obviously gone to two different ones. So obviously there was some effort involved. But apparently she hasn't kept her addresses up to date as she should have. She is a member of cast on this movie. We've got to assume that most of the cast and a lot of the crew are going to be subpoenaed. And a lot of that is her own fault because of all of this. Because when she was doing this, she was sitting there not saying Justin's name. Do you remember? My director, my director. Do you remember the one where she's sitting there scoffing about him calling her mole a mark? She might be too young to know this, but they used to call those things beauty marks. And he probably thought he was being nicer to call it a beauty mark than a mole, because who knows, maybe she's self-conscious about it. I would be if it was on my face. But to sit there and scoff and make fun of him over it. So she went from praising him and saying how comfortable he made her on set to not saying his name, to unfollowing him, to just completely cutting him off. What does that tell you from a legal standpoint? That there was communication. That somewhere along the way, Blake said something to her that changed her opinion of Justin. How is that not relevant to this legal case? It's very relevant. And this is why she's getting a subpoena. She participated in the shunning of Justin. We know that it had to have come from something that she heard from Blake. Of course she's getting subpoenaed. You certainly don't write a 23-page document of nonsense and accusations with absolutely no proof that any of this happened. I've normally got my slides all really prepared, and I wasn't going to waste the time because I know that as soon as Wayfair responds, this is all going to be just destroyed, like absolutely destroyed. This is just out there to capture headlines because things aren't looking good for Blake right now. So they talk about true motivations. What do you know about anybody's motivations? You don't know these people. You haven't talked to these people. When I read the sentence, I was worried. He's like, he tried to leverage compliance with contractual indemnity obligations owed to Miss Ferrer in an effort to take control. I'll admit, I got nervous. I'm like, uh-oh, what did he do? Did he get desperate and just like come and like plead with her? And maybe it seems like he was trying to force her into something. Like what happened now? Because the way this is worded sounds so ridiculous. But no, we come across no proof of any of these claims that he makes. And it looks like it was never even him that spoke with her. So then it addresses parts about the subpoena. Sir, address that in a motion to quash. If you have a problem with the subpoena, that's what you're supposed to do. Just like all of us content creators. This girl was involved. Whether she likes it or not, Blake brought her into it. She went along with it. She's involved. It's unfortunate for her that her first big movie comes out like this, but it's what happened, and she participated in it. So like it or not, just like we all had to deal with our subpoenas, even though we weren't involved in anything to do with it, we all dealt with it. That's what you do. But this nonsense, no. It's so funny. Isabela Ferrer is a talented actress who a few years ago broke into feature films. I had to look it up on IMDb. She did this movie. She did a 33-minute short that probably none of us have ever, I know I hadn't, probably none of us ever heard of or saw. I don't even know where you watch shorts. And then she was in a streaming series on Paramount Plus that has, I wrote it down. Where did I write it? because I was scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and it was time for me to start the live. I couldn't find her name, so I just went back to the top, and I'm like, how many people are in this? 520 cast. So who knows how big of a role it even is? And all of this happened in 2024. It doesn't look like she's even in production for anything. So you can lay off of this because Blake probably pretty much destroyed her career as it just was beginning. So you can stop with the whole talented actress business. It complains about Justin having references, including screenshots to a few text messages. They were very important to the case. They were proof that he had not acted inappropriately as a director. They belonged to him. They were his text messages from his phone. All of this stuff got subpoenaed anyway. This was gonna come out. So don't act like he invaded her privacy by doing this. They also originally spoke about him in a nice way. Those things are out there. You can't change history. You can't go back and erase what you said. Maybe she doesn't like it out there now. Too bad. That's how you truly felt at the time that you were actually in his presence, that he was actually your director. You can't take it back now because you wanted to side with Blake. It says Baldoni used text to craft the narrative that after Miss Ferrer spent substantial time with Lively during film promotions. What did we just see? This is a fraction of the time spent. And I didn't include the pictures of them tucked away out to dinner all over New York, just the two of them, because it felt a little invasive. But they're out there. You can Google their names and see how much comes up. He didn't craft a narrative. That's what happened. And it's, like I said, look on Google. He doesn't own Google. He didn't put that stuff out there. It's there. And in most of the pictures, you have Blake grabbing all over. In one of the interviews, she was talking about how much she loved her and how she was her mother. And I thought, and the look on Isabela's face when she called herself her mother was kind of weird. And I'm thinking, she has a mother. How dare you? It happened and it wasn't crafted. It's what actually happened. Then also when he's talking about these texts that got shared in the timeline because they were relevant to the timeline, it says that it's far from reality or the true facts. And then it says that he appropriated Miss Ferrer's narrative without her permission simply to create a self-serving image for the public and the press. Did he alter her words? Because we read the text directly from her to him, her words, her expressions. What are you saying? Appropriated her narrative without her permission. That was on his phone. He didn't need her permission. It's also part of this lawsuit. Like I said, everybody's phones were subpoenaed for this stuff. Her phone was subpoenaed. She's already handed over to Blake because Blake served her first, which we find out in here. This stuff's already out there. It's already part of this lawsuit. So that the way he stretches, I thought that Gottlieb and Ezra were bad with stretching things. This guy's the worst and very dramatic. Also very, very dramatic in his writing to make things seem like something that they're not. And I want to know, because it says Lively issued the subpoena on February 25th. Did she throw a fit too? Did all this happen with Blake too? Did all this indemnification happen? What happened when Blake served it? Or did she just hand it over? Yeah, I call her Baby Blake. Yeah, I had refrained from going too hard on her because she's young. Well, she's 25 now. That's old enough. That's old enough. It's not some teen. She's not as young as the character she was playing. That's old enough to know better. Your brain is done cooking at like 25, 26. So no more going soft on this. This is a choice, and it's a bad choice. And I feel like it's a choice she made for personal gain because I think she thought she could go further with Blake and Ryan. Who's going to want to work with her now? I mean, Blake can't even save her own career at this point. How is she going to do anything for her? Now this, Oh, I get, you know what? I have to laugh because otherwise I'm going to get too angry and I'm going to start screaming and nobody wants to hear that. So in the bottom, I wish I had a pointer that would work on here. It talks about this letter from counsel, and they conditionally agreed to indemnify as required by the acting agreement. Now, they should have included these acting agreements because we don't know what they say. But an indemnity, how do you describe it, is holds no harm. It means that, like in this case, it's a movie. She was an actress in a movie. If something happened, whether it be an accident or a lawsuit, if something happens in the making of this movie, while she's employed making this movie, if something comes of that, it covers her. The thing about these clauses in these agreements is that the wording on them is purposefully, it's purposefully not clear because it covers a mountain of things. It's not here just in case of this lawsuit. It's here if there's an accident, if they damage somebody's property, if it's any kind of harm that would happen from this movie, she would not be held responsible for it. They would take the responsibility for her. So these kinds of things are not real detailed. So normally what happens, and it's usually in the clause, that they will work with something called JAMS. So we'll see that word JAMS, and he doesn't explain what it is. What it is, it's an arbitration and mediation group. And it's consisted a lot, because he mentions a retired judge, which seems like really bizarre if you don't understand what JAMS is. A lot of retired judges go on to work in these kinds of organizations, and JAMS is everywhere. So my dearest darling judge, Judge Newman from the Murdoch case, when he retired, he moved to Atlanta and he works for JAMS in Atlanta. They needed to be judges because they are handling situations where it's lawyers fighting in a lot of cases. So you need someone who's used to being over attorneys and making those kinds of decisions. So retired judges are perfect for this. So the reason it needs to go there is because of all of these things. You don't know what it's going to end up being. And if it's litigation, it could be contentious like this. So all of that's already there in preparation in these kinds of things. That's where it went to, because they were trying to decide. And even the company's not sitting there just fully prepared to know what to do in case of something like this. They're feeling their way through this as a first as well. It's not like they're all queued up and ready for this and know exactly what to do. They themselves probably didn't know exactly what this agreement was going to cover. So this is all being worked out in mediation or arbitration, and it has been for months. Well, as you know, these things take time. There are lots of people going to JAMS to get their stuff sorted out. So it's not like you just call them up and say, hey, can we meet tomorrow? You have to wait your turn. You have to schedule. You have to meet probably multiple times. So all of this accusation of Baldoni dragging his feet and taking his time, this, first of all, was being handled by other attorneys. This isn't Friedman. This isn't Ellen. This isn't Kevin Fritz. These are people that are working on the other parts, the movie parts. They're having to work all this out. But he's saying, oh, Justin's Baldoni's dragging his feet. He's putting it off. No, he's not. He was in Hawaii when all this was going on. And the attorneys were trying to work this out. You think they wanted it to drag on like this? Of course not. But they have to follow what's allowed in this agreement. So that's what was happening. That's all that was happening. Then we get this embarrassing ChatGPT AI garbage, this hallucinated case, which is what they're saying. This happened to Perez. He used ChatGPT to make one of his, if it wasn't his first, it was one of his first documents that he sent to the court. And it made up, I don't even know how this could happen, but it made up cases that don't exist. It made up cases that don't exist. And when he came back and asked, why did you do this? It said, oh, I hallucinated it. So I guess that's the term, the new 2025 term now is a hallucinated case. Apparently, and see, attorneys, they have their own search things. What's the one called? It's the most one that's been around longer, I think, is Westlaw, and then there's Lexis or Lexis, something like that. I don't think that they're going to use AI, so I don't know what happened here. I don't know what happened, but they ended up with a case that sounds like it doesn't exist. And this is one thing that Blake's team usually doesn't do, that the Wayfarer team always catches. And they're always like, why did you put this case in here? This is opposite of what you're trying to say. And I always think that's so funny. They go on talking about negotiating the terms of this indemnity. This is expected, sir. And you know it. You're saying this just to make it look bad, knowing or should know that this is how it goes. That's when he talks about the neutral retired judge. And that's explaining that whole what goes on at JAMS. They have to help them work this out. But it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't happen, okay, how does Tuesday sound for you? It's not like that. How many times have you seen Wayfarer accept subpoenas on behalf of somebody? So many times. So they ask, they can't find her to give her the subpoena. So they ask her attorney, which is very normal. Can you accept it? How many times have we seen Wayfarer accept subpoenas over and over again for these people? It was a typo. Was it a typo with the case? I guess we'll get to the bottom of that. I see somebody put a citation here. I don't know what this means. Let me try to see if somebody's solved this. That's not the case. Okay. Yeah, why didn't they show us the case? Why didn't they put it in here? But they're going to talk about it and laugh about it. Put it in here. Why are you going to say this and not put it in here? Right? I was looking for it. I was expecting it to be in exhibits. It's not here. Ellen says, and thank you very much, Ellen. Isabela's text to Justin Baldoni effed BL's plans to use her as a victim. Can't make up viable SH stories. They know Justin Baldoni has video proof exactly. She's using the subpoena to call Justin Baldoni a harasser because she has nothing else. I agree. And I was going to get to that in summation, but we'll go ahead and say it now because this is so smart. Because everything out there about Isabela, and we've talked about it, it's all over social media. Everything that's been put out there about Isabela has said how comfortable she was with him as her director filming these scenes. So whenever you search Isabela, that's what you find. They had to make sure to change that search. So now when you search Isabela, you're going to find manipulate, control, harass, intimidate. That's what this is. There was not a good look out there for Blake's team whenever you searched Isabela because that's all you found up till now. So they had to ensure that they could get these nasty words linked between Isabela and Justin. And she's letting them do this. Thank you, Glow Loves Books. It is infuriating. It is infuriating. There's a big reveal on Taylor at 2. Well, we got to be done by 2 then. Thanks, Angela. Yes. Ezra literally filed an employment law claim and forgot to include the employer client in the claim. Yeah. They're forgetting all this stuff. There's so many things in this document that should have been here. But this guy admits that they've reached out to him to accept the subpoena, but he doesn't say why he hasn't. Why haven't you, sir? You know you cannot avoid this. You have to deal with this at some point. So let's see. Yeah, he says on July 3rd, Jason Sunshine reaches out by email asking him to accept service. Then Mitra, who does most of the emails that we see here in the exhibits, well, there aren't that many, but that's the person who does it, also asked him to confirm he'll accept service. And then it goes, came along with other demands to clarify or alter previously agreed upon terms of the parties' submission agreement. Does it really? They ask to clarify if they will accept the subpoena. They're running up against a deadline here. So he just ignores the request to be served to accept the subpoena. Then it says that Idens LLC did not and would not send an executed copy of the engagement contract needed to engage the JAMS neutral until she responded to the demands. Is there proof of this in here? No. So a lot of this, I don't even really want to address until we see their response, because they're going to come with receipts. And this whole thing is going to be trashed. But it's already served the purpose that it was meant to serve. And that's to get these nasty words out there, linked between Justin's name and her name. And that's why through most of it, they keep saying Baldoni, 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 to ensure that that's what gets picked up. Baldoni, Isabel, and all these nasty words. So the purpose has been served. So no matter how smacked down this document gets by Wayfair, which I am absolutely certain it will be, it's done the damage that it intended to do. And it's nasty. Nasty, yes, vicious. This is nothing but vicious. It serves absolutely no legal purpose. This is not how you respond to a subpoena. It serves no legal purpose. This is completely just nastiness. Only after filing the motion did It Ends With Us finally returned a countersigned copy of the JAMS engagement contract. We don't know when that contract was signed. We need to see it. We don't know how long they were holding it and didn't hand it over. You're making it sound like it was some kind of blackmail, extortion. Where is your proof of any of this? It talks about coordinated timing of these two, highlights the quid pro quo nature of Baldoni's earlier demand regarding acceptance of service and Baldoni's use of the media coverage garnered by filing the motion. Justin Baldoni has not made one statement to the press. Stop it. Just stop it. And what's the quid pro quo here? What did they get from you? Did they get you to accept the subpoena? Do you understand what quid pro quo means? You do something, I do something. You haven't accepted the subpoena. So what are you even talking? You just want to throw this word in there to make it sound bad, because everyone knows it's a bad concept. Anyway, it says the motion generated public interest. A U.S. Weekly article comes out. Let's talk about all the interest that this is going to bring. But here is the thing, like I said, this had to be filed. They need this. The deadline is coming. They have no choice. That's why they filed it, not to get press. The deadline's coming. Justin had so much power, he ended up in the basement. Exactly, Glow Loves Books. And thank you very much. It's so many people colluding and conspiring against Justin, Brian, and Wayfair. It's crazy. It started to make me question my sanity because it's so many people. Yes, Rose is wild. But these accusations are so unfounded, every single one of them. Why haven't you accepted the subpoena? You could avoid all of this. And then it says, other posters accused Miss Ferrer of dodging service, because she is, and so are you. And you know as an attorney that you can't do this. Okay, let me skip. A lot of this I'm going to skip because I don't even want to address it until we have the response, because they didn't provide proof. They didn't provide any receipts. We have to wait till we see the other side. This is a trust me, bro. Absolute trust me, bro. No evidence, no facts, no dates, no times. It's like this happened. and just take my word for it. So some of these things are not even worthy of being addressed until we have some type of evidence either way to say what happened. Okay, it talks about the number of attempts, and then it compares some cases trying to say, oh, they didn't make enough attempts, because this case there were 14 attempts and the court approved it. In this case, there were 9 attempts and the court approved it. And in this case, there were 4 and the court didn't approve it. So they didn't try hard enough. Because in the motion they filed, they showed their due diligence, how many times they attempted to contact her. But they were also contacting you, sir, who could have accepted this a long time ago or filed a motion to quash. What are you waiting for? In all of your 23 pages, you never tell us what you were waiting for. And we know that they've been contacting them. Why hasn't the attorney given her address to these attorneys? Hey, Bushbirds. Why hasn't her attorney said, oh, you were going to the wrong address. Here's her current address. You know they have it. This is all just a big old setup. And it says it fails to discuss the reasonable steps taken to try to locate a current residential or business address. Well, you better be ready, because Wayfair is going to put all of your correspondence. If they asked you for her address, it's going to be there for all to see, because that's how they roll. They come with receipts on their documents. He mentions that the court has allowed parties to use alternative means, and the judge has allowed it. So it's probably going to happen to you if you don't just step forward and accept this subpoena that inevitably is going to be served on your client. They're saying his motion's premature. There's a deadline. There's a deadline. And then he starts taking even a bigger leap. Here's where the word harass enters the chat. You don't say that someone is harassing someone without proof. That's a big word. You can sue people for harassment. You can't throw this word around. Nothing. And when I saw that, I thought, okay, now we're going to get to it. Oh no, braced myself. A big, fat nothing. He calls it a Baldoni subpoena. All of these words carefully chosen for one purpose and one purpose only. Now, we do learn something interesting in this. At the bottom paragraph, it says that, oh, this makes me so mad, I don't even want to read it. The motion and the Baldoni subpoena are transparent efforts to exert pressure on Miss Ferrer. No, they're not. She has important information that she has knowledge of, that only she has knowledge of. And that's why she's being subpoenaed. And it's not a Baldoni subpoena. It's a Wayfair subpoena. And then it says, in this litigation and in connection with other pending disputes. So I keep saying this Van Zandt thing is not done. That they're going to deal with it, but they're going to get all of their information first so that they have a solid case to present. Whether it be for summary judgment, whether it be for abuse of process claim, or if they end up winning summary judgment or winning the trial, malicious prosecution, whatever it is, now we know there's something else in the works. Some other pending dispute going on. And I cannot wait to hear what it is. Glow Loves Books, thank you again. I'm wondering if Justin Baldoni had no say in casting at all with the way they're bowing to Blake's lies. Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Okay. Let's see. Ivy says Isabela is childish. It was only required for Blake to invite her for a sleepover so she can flip her over, Justin. One day, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds will fall from grace, and Isabela will beg Justin Baldoni for a job. Karma. Yeah, I mean, something like this is when people don't want to hire problematic people to act in their movies. And I mean, especially when it's someone that she doesn't really have a solid career under her feet. So this, yeah. In reading this, we are supposed to act outraged that Justin went after this poor little girl and is trying to harm her. Yeah. Well, they didn't accomplish that. Okay. So let me try to get back to this because I don't want to take too long, and I'm going to have to go through and blip out some of these pauses and stuff. Let's see. Here's my note. Take the dang subpoena and stop being dramatic. That's my note here. I guess that's unimportant. Okay, they talk about him seeking cover. He sought coverage and tried to wheel it for their own benefit. How? What are you even saying? That's nonsense. All right. And talking about him trying to find the address, you're the attorney. You could have given it to him at any point. Why didn't you just do that? Why didn't you just accept it? So then he says the Baldoni subpoena effectively punishes Miss Ferrer for refusing to bend to Baldoni's intimidation and may only serve to encourage more inappropriate behavior. What are you even saying? What intimidation? Did they prove or even explain or describe what this intimidation was? Because I didn't see anything in here that amounts to intimidation on anybody on Wayfarer's part over Isabela. And inappropriate behavior. You can't just put this out there in a legal document without something to back it up. Robinson in the house says Blake's side behaves as if even her own deposition is an outright ridiculous thing. Yes. Makes her feel like there's a smear campaign. And they shouldn't ask and now is behaving like the subpoenas are abusive now. Exactly. Why are you acting like this? All right. I'm sorry, let me look. And then they mention, oh wait, what is the subheading? Baldoni used the motion to publicly disseminate personally identifying information of non-parties. All right, again, it's not her address. It's not her address. Sorry, I'm going to read this real quick. So she's talking about, or he's talking about how there's this overlapping category. So she complied obviously with Blake's subpoena. And so they're saying, well, there's overlap because there's these two subpoenas and they cover a lot of the same things. That doesn't mean he doesn't have the right to ask for stuff that I'm sure Blake didn't ask for, because I'm sure it's stuff Blake doesn't want out there. So there doesn't matter what she turned over for Blake. I'm sure what Justin wants from her is going to be, some of it may be the same, but a lot of it is probably going to be very different from what Blake would have wanted from her. So it doesn't matter that there's some overlap here. And sorry, guys. I'm trying to get through my pages. Oh, yeah, I had another order. That's why. Yeah, I was reading this at like 4 a.m. All right. So he's talking about social media and what people have been posting. And that's because of this motion. We've been talking about her all along. We've just been nice to her before. So social media posters amplified the narrative that Baldoni has tried to advance about Miss Ferrer from the outside of this lawsuit. People accused Miss Ferrer of dodging service and speculated that she was doing so at the direction of Lively. That has nothing to do with Justin. We all came to that conclusion, having nothing to do, based on what? This. We came to this conclusion because of your client's actions. Because she stopped using Justin's name after she buddied up with Blake. Because she stopped speaking to him and unfollowed him after she buddied up with Blake. We're smart. We don't need people to tell us what to think. We can come to those conclusions all by ourselves based on what we have seen, not things that were put out by Wayfarer. Not one of these things was put out by Wayfarer. So stop that already. It's so very old. Okay? And now we get down to the bottom one. It says, the motion tries to make much of the fact that one of Miss Ferrer's attorneys did not agree to accept service of the Baldoni subpoena. See the way he keeps calling it Baldoni subpoena? It's not a Baldoni subpoena. But why didn't you? Why haven't you? You give us no reason in all of these pages and pages of nonsense and accusations that are unfounded and unsupported. Never once do you tell us why you haven't accepted it. And then these subheadings, because that's what most people are going to see, especially in a long document. They're going to cruise through and look at the subheadings. And so he makes them as absolutely awful as he can. And you think, oh, he says this, and then you think, oh, these paragraphs probably support it. They don't. So he says, Baldoni previously tried to leverage indemnity obligations owed to Miss Ferrer to control of, does he mean take control? To control of Miss Ferrer's response to other discovery directed to her in this litigation. Again, he makes this accusation, but doesn't back it up. All right. And then, of course, they ask for sanctions. Sanctions for what? Sanctions for what? For all these trust me, bro accusations you just made with no evidence to back up? Oh yeah, this is out of order. That's why. Okay. So, in conclusion, Baldoni has not met the threshold for seeking to serve Ms. Ferrer by means other than personal service because Baldoni cannot show the requisite diligence to support such a request. Just accept the dang subpoena. You're showing how she's dodging it. In all of these 23 pages, you're showing how she's dodging it because you're dodging it with her. You could give the address. You could accept it. No, you want to do this. You want to make a spectacle, and you want to put all these accusations up there instead. Baldoni filed a motion for improper purposes. He wants her served. That's the purpose. He doesn't have time to fool around with improper purposes. He needs this stuff. With the aim of harassing Miss Ferrer, he just wants you or her to accept it. How is that harassing? So absolutely stupid. And then comes the declaration, which doesn't get any better. And the thing about this is that he declares this is like a sworn document. And gonna put this nonsense out there. This is all we get about the indemnifying stuff. This little bitty broken paragraph that doesn't say much at all. Put the whole thing in here. Put the whole thing in here. And also put your communication with JAMS. I want to know how long that's been going on and what that schedule was, because you're accusing them of wasting time, but this isn't even in their hands. Where's your proof of all of these wild accusations? All right. So we find out this has been going on March, April, May. They've been trying all this time. So they don't get into a contract with JAMS until May 27th. Now, you're not going to tell me that some of that had to do with the busy schedule of JAMS. And I bet that's what Wayfair is going to tell us as soon as they respond to this. But they're portraying it in here like it was Wayfair's fault that it took that long to get in there. All right. On July 14th, while working to finalize and submit the JAMS engagement agreement, they got an email. We're going to see that email in a minute. We're talking about not that long ago, like a little over a month ago. August 7th, after my firm submitted a partially executed copy of the JAMS agreement. So it sounds like you wasted some time there too. They sent another email demanding that we accept service because they need it. Why were you, what was going on with you between July 14th and August 7th? Then August 13th, they countersigned the agreement and submitted it to JAMS. And then here are their exhibits. And these are stupid. So he reaches out. What's this? All right. So this is the initial contact back in February. All right. So here is this is Brian Friedman's law firm contacting him as well. And this is the thing that they take way out of context. So in the middle of this letter, it says, by your letter, Ms. Ferrer demands that Wayfair undertake the defense thereof and offers to surrender control therefore to Wayfair. They made such a big production about this. This is just legal jargon, and it probably says it somewhere on the agreement. And this is the nature. I don't know a whole lot about these, but the nature of these is such that if they're going to take on this kind of responsibility, they kind of own how it goes. They're in charge of it. This is normal. They try to make this wording sound awful. This is just legal wording. It sounds extreme to us if we don't know what it's talking about exactly. But this is the way it goes. If they're going to pay for and be responsible for the legal aspects of all of this, they do have control. There's nothing wrong with this. And the way they try to turn this into him dominating her and controlling her is such a bad misrepresentation of what happens in these kinds of situations. I cannot wait for Wayfair's response to clear all this up. But like I said, this has served its purpose to make everybody look bad. And now we see these emails that he was going on and on about. So following up on the attached and below, he doesn't include the attachments, so we don't know what these are. Hopefully Wayfair will provide them, so we'll see what they are. It's probably information that needs to be signed or sorted for these kind of agreements, is what I would guess that these things are. And it says, my colleagues have emailed you twice to confirm that you will accept service on behalf of your client. This is July 14th. So not only were they out there trying to go to the addresses, and it was more than one, the addresses that they had a record of her living at, but she didn't actually live at, they're also trying through him. And he's saying, oh, they didn't do their due diligence. Sir, how many times did they ask you to accept this? And you won't answer. So then we see one that was on June 24th. Sorry for the delay. JAMS was revising the engaging agreement to reflect the fact that Wayfair will be paying costs, and I just received it today. Please see attached. So all of this time and all of these 23 pages, they were putting all the blame on them. But what do we see, in fact, when we see the actual evidence? As expected, he or she was waiting on them. That's out of her hands. And so what about all these accusations that you just made in these pages? They're wrong. And here's when you see an actual receipt, you see it's a lie. Okay. As far as the language of the agreement between the parties, we are aligned in our understanding of the agreement. If an invoice is not approved by, this is the judge, I'm assuming that's been assigned to the case, Wayfair is not obligated to pay it. JAMS felt the language was not sufficient in terms of instructing the judge and giving him the authority to approve in part and reject in part according to his judgment. I think putting that in an email with instructions from both parties should suffice. Please confirm. So do you know what I see in this email? I see a very cooperative attorney who's trying to get this settled, that JAMS is asking for things. Let me see. I'm late to the chat. Not actually Golden disagreed with everything in this filing. Oh, good. Including the dispute over the indemnity insurance for legal representation. Cassidy, you'll love what Nag. I almost always love what Nag has to say. And I love her expertise in this. So after all these accusations, and he actually put some exhibits here that say exactly the opposite of what he said in all of his accusations. This person, this attorney, is trying to set this up, and they're telling them this is what we need, and we need some help from you. We need you to confirm. We need you. We've put in our say. We need you to put in your say so we can get this going. Is this a company that's trying to delay and trying to harass and trying to control? They didn't just respond to JAMS themselves. They want the other side to respond too. Is that controlling? No. All right, then we get to June 20th. So the agreement says, because these are going in reverse order, the agreement says that Judge Carpinello has to approve the invoices, but they want to know what happens if he doesn't approve. We don't want a scenario where he's either approving or he's not. We ultimately want it resolved so the invoice is closed out. So if he makes a determination, for example, that X isn't reasonable or relegated, but Y is, that will be his determination, not just yes or no. I assume this is our understanding given how a court arbitrator would determine fees, but they want clarity. So they've been trying since June 20th. So they've already been in talks with this judge. On June 20th, they bring this to them and say, well, the judge wants clarification. And then they get this clarification. So we can see the progress in these emails that they've been working with JAMS. So all of these accusations that they finally gave the agreement on July, whatever, we see how that came to be. They were working on this in June. They weren't saying, oh, we're holding this back, you can't see it. Through the whole process, they're in contact with them, telling them what's happening and what they need to get this going. So the agreement wasn't finished until July 14th because all this had to be resolved. She's giving Officer Kelly Deaver. This is crazy. Oh, I can't wait. Marilyn says, not actually golden, was in rare form over this filing. Get your popcorn. Oh, I can't wait. Now I'm excited. I always worry whenever because like I said, I do my stuff first because I don't want to be influenced by anybody. But the scary part of that is what if I get something wrong? So she's usually one of the first ones I go to after I've talked about something to make sure that I didn't make a big mistake. It says the Bushbirds, we are now referring to her as Betty Kool-Aid. Betty Kool-Aid, indeed. Andrea says Mama Nag is furious and from watching her video. Let's wait for headlines. Yes. Oh, I'm cringing thinking about what these headlines are going to be because they're not going to zone in on these exhibits and see, oh, they're lying. Oh, this isn't correct. They're just going to go with those words. It's a terrible, terrible thing. Okay, now this email, these are the only exhibits worth spending time on because it does show this communication. So all that happened in June and July. We saw them asked several times, are you going to accept this subpoena? Reasonable request for her attorney. August 7th, will you accept service of process on behalf of your client? It's a simple question. So they tried before they put the motion out that he's on here yapping about, making wild accusations about, but never accepted it. And now he's like, well, why'd you file that? Because they asked you and asked you and asked you, and they can't find her address. All right, let's see. This was a August 6th. And they say they returned an executed copy. Not sure if she provided a copy of that to JAMS, please. Okay, so this is just communication. But what it shows you is that they were not hiding anything. They were trying to get this resolved all along. They were doing everything they could to get this resolved all along, and the delay was not Wayfair. In your own exhibits, sir, you proved that to us. Okay, this article is just nonsense, but I mean, this is what happens when you didn't accept service of the subpoena. This motion gets filed, and of course, it gets talked about. Everything that gets put out there. And now this is hilarious because they portrayed these. Did they even say death threats? I feel like they were extreme and said death threats because that's what some people, that seems to be the given, oh, I got death threats. And nobody ever shows these death threats. But these, if they consider these threats, I mean, people were looking me up. They were searching me. They were searching my age. They were searching my LLC. They were all kinds of things, accusing me of lying about a person's name, a person being appointed as a manager of my LLC, committing fraud on a federal court, saying I was going to go to prison for 20 years. These things don't faze me a bit. Look at this stuff. They're going to find you, hun, sooner or later. You chose wrong. Blake the Snake is going to ruin your career before it even began. justice for Justin, and you suck. Is that a death threat? I mean, they're just people who take it upon themselves to do. You shouldn't do this. Even, I mean, I know you want to, but nobody's threatening her. Okay, tell Izzy, this isn't even to her. Tell Izzy to stop dodging her subpoena and tell the truth, or she's going to lose her audience with her silence. It's true. You know, Blake may have gotten what she wanted by getting these words out in the media. But if Isabella isn't smart enough to see that she was just used yet again by Blake, I don't know what it's going to take. Because this serves Blake by getting these words out there. But this does not serve Isabella. Do you know the number of people who've probably turned on Isabella today because of all of this? And hey, Christina. Yeah, they've been behaving as far as I know. Sorry, I sent you a text to say sorry. My schedule is always so hectic, and I always forget to tell you guys when I'm going live. And to let you know, if you can't show up, that's okay, because it's my fault for just last minute jumping on and things like that. But this is helpful to Blake, but it is not helpful to Isabella. And I hope she realizes that. I saw something that said that she's losing followers now. So, I mean, it's kind of sad that she's once again in a position to be used by, oh, hey, Leanne, to be used by Blake once again for Blake's benefit and her detriment. Okay, so, hey, Judas, why are you running away? Face the consequences of your actions. Okay, these are not death threats. Blake and Ryan will take you down with them. Do the honorable thing. Tell the truth. That's good advice. Let's see. It's time, Izzy. The subpoenas are knocking. Your career is over. So at least do the right thing, girl. You might get your career back in 3 to 5 or 35 years. With hiding, never. People will not forgive you. And the two absolute losers, Blake and Ryan, are over anyway. I would not be scared. Do the right thing, Isabella. If this was your dad or family member being accused of doing something they never did, you want someone to do the honorable thing too. What's happening to Justin isn't fair, and it's ruining his family and career. Nothing wrong with that one. Why are you avoiding being subpoenaed? You need to be on the right side of history and just go to court and say what happened. Isabella, please stand up and do the right thing. Speak the truth about Justin. The situation is incredibly unfair to you. I agree, but please consider that if you don't stand up for the truth, this will haunt you for the rest of your life. I do not think that lying for Blake Lively is the person that you are. I mean, this is the worst. This is the worst they could come up with to put on here as evidence of this campaign against her. Your career is going to tank, and I'm glad. That's not nice. But it's not a death threat. Okay, and then we have a bunch of comments. Also, nothing, I mean, people are going to talk about this. It's unavoidable. Those are all too blurry to even consider. But the bottom line is, she made a choice when Blake approached her with her story. And like I said, at the time, I didn't blame her because she was probably a little bit starstruck. Blake was love bombing her. She probably thought, why would Blake lie? Just like the rest of us did at the beginning. When we first heard about this, before we got all the details, we believed her. And so I'm sure that that's what happened. But the thing is over time, seeing Blake's actions, there's no excuse for what we're seeing happen now. And all of these pages of nonsense served one purpose and one purpose alone. It was to make Justin look bad and to get this stuff out there in the press, the very thing that they accused them of doing. Justin filed a motion, Wayfair filed a motion because they need this subpoena served because they're getting close to a deadline. This was just to get some awful words to change what's out there. Like I said, all that was out there involving Isabella and Justin was nice things. Whenever you Googled it, that's all you saw was the nice things she said about Justin. Now there's going to be Isabella Baldoni subpoena, Baldoni threaten, Baldoni control, Baldoni harass. So congratulations, Isabela. You got used as a pawn yet again by Blake. It helped her, and it really, really hurt you. So wake up. Stop being taken advantage of. Get rid of this attorney. Turn over the stuff. You can't avoid it. You're not going to get emotion to quash because you are cast in this movie. You're not going to be able to avoid it. Just get it over with. It's unpleasant. You got put in this. It's unfortunate. We all felt sorry for you that you got stuck in the middle of this, but you are. And that's the unfortunate truth of your life at this point. But stop letting Blake and Ryan use and abuse you. That's who these people are. Look at them. Find their friends. Who are their friends? Where are their friends? There's a reason that you lose friends the way that Blake has lost friends. Where are they? She's in all this so-called trauma. Where are they? They all left her. Why? And who are they replaced with? Her sister? Just use your brain. Get some good advice from someone not linked to Blake and Ryan. Dump this attorney and do better. If you can't see how this situation that you just signed to with this attorney, how bad this hurt you and how much it helped Blake, I don't know what to tell you. It's making me literally sweaty right now just thinking about it. Super Sarah, Lyman just sided with Lively regarding subpoena to the insurance company. Of course he did. Of course he did. Unbelievable. Wow. Now I'm even madder. All right. Crystal, yeah, good luck meeting Taylor Swift now. I really do not believe Baldoni's lawsuit and party and subpoenas and all Baldoni and no one else has anything to hide. So I do not think it really ever matters what evidence they go for. Okay. Happy Christy says she should have realized that if Taylor dumped Blake, why would she still be friends with her? Exactly. This insurance stuff, this judge. Me too, Daphne's life. I've lost any sympathy I had for Isabela. Yeah, me too. Because this whole filing is ridiculous. It's incredibly unprofessional. It's terribly written. It's full of unfounded accusations. And I feel it crosses a line. It crosses a lot of lines, actually. You can't just say these things about people with no evidence. But they did. Did Wayfair Party file a motion to quash the subpoena for Harco Insurance? They did. And Lyman ruled against him because of course he did. How can anyone be real friends with fake Lively? Yeah, I can just see the fake all over. It's so gross. Anyway, it was the correct docket number for this kind of evil. I don't wish any harm on Isabela, but I hope she wakes up and sees that she's just been used as a pawn, as an evil pawn in Blake's evil game here. This was completely and totally about changing the Google searches between their names. And it did so much harm to her now. So maybe it will be enough to wake her up and realize that she's just been used by Blake and Ryan. I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out if who hired this attorney or recommended this attorney, because there are connections with Ryan. But this is so upsetting. That just took all what was left in my power out of me, seeing that he ruled that way on Harco. I mean, I expected it. I always expect him to rule that way, but I still can't help but feel it when it actually happens. Because a part of me still remains hopeful, but he lets us down every time. But one good news is, yeah, this is big to stop people from talking about Taylor and the songs. Things are looking really, really bad for Blake right now. And yeah, that's what I heard. That's what I heard. But I haven't confirmed it, so I didn't talk about it. So I want to get all the details before I say it. But I heard that too, that's connected with Ryan. Roses Wild says, and meanwhile, all the content creator stuff is still being ignored, but never when it helps Blake. I'm the same way. I get crushed every time, Cassidy. Yeah, we put we put well-written motions about these subpoenas, but because they ask the court to destroy the entire subpoena for everyone, not just ourselves, he hasn't bothered to rule on it. And she hasn't made a reply. Because if he has to rule on it, he knows the law that we put in there is good, and he has nothing to overturn it. So he would be forced to rule on our side of it, and that would quash that subpoena, and he doesn't want to do it. So he just pretends it's not even there. Just ignores it. He doesn't want to address it. Jacqueline says, time to stop infantilizing and excusing Isabela's choices, actions, and behaviors, and the consequences thereof. She has lost all integrity, credibility, and respect from me anyway. Me too. The judge is horrible. I wonder if he realizes how much faith in the legal system he is losing in real time. Oh, absolutely. I feel like this whole thing's just one big mafia show that we're watching. It feels like an HBO miniseries. Jessica Ramirez says Kevin Fritz and Ellen will come through and he'll ignore them. Yeah, but at least the truth will get out. So the way I'm looking at it now, I've pretty much given up on this lawsuit. I'm just completely looking for either an appeal, malicious prosecution, summary judgment, or whatever. And I was so happy to hear that there's another dispute going on. So I'm hoping that that means that there's more going on. She is, yes. Bonnie Clava says that she's a fact witness and no legal universe is subpoenaing her out of bounds. And trying to serve her with the subpoena is not harassment. I agree, Christina. SDNY is very mafia-like. I had no idea until this case. Do not give up on this lawsuit. Well, Jillian says that, I'm not giving up. I'm still going to be here and I'm still going to hope for the best, but I have absolutely no faith or trust that the right decisions are going to be made. He is a Trump-appointed justice. Glove's book says, I try to keep away from politics. The wrathful proser, Bleck, I like that. Bleck is out here ruining lives, blackmailing everyone and being a bully. She is. And if you allow yourself to be used to harm these people, and that's why I put their wives on here, because this isn't just hurting Justin. This is hurting everyone involved. Not even just Wayfair people. Jen Abel, Melissa Nathan, Jed Wallace. So many people. Yep. Epstein and Diddy was done in SDNY too. Christina, exactly. That's, well, this is what I said the whole time, Jessica. In those 30 pages, she could have just accepted the subpoena and shut it down. None of this was necessary. What even is this? What even is this document? Like, do we even have a name for what this is? Because this is not a response to a subpoena. You have two choices: accept it or quash it. What is this document? Yeah, I do too. I feel so sad for Justin. I feel sad for all of them. All right, guys, we've been on here for a while, and I need to go back and delete some of these pauses and stuff that happened when my mic went out. Ezra's like a dirty cop, a dirty lawyer. Robin's in the house says, I agree. I've not seen so much dirty. Yeah, I love all the words that come up in this. Blackmailed. We get all these new terms that are absolutely wonderful. I mean, we have to find reasons to laugh because it's just not funny. Jacqueline says it's easy to lose faith in people and the justice system, but what else is there? It's all we've got. It's all we've got. What does this say? Ferrer aunt used to be Manette attorney from Reddit. Oh boy. See, she has never been investigated. We knew that she was related to George Clooney. And everybody's been kind to her. And she thought it was bad what she turned in here. These little do the right thing, Isabel. This is going to get ugly now. Look at this. They're already, once they start investigating you on Reddit, welcome to a whole new world. Good luck, Isabella, because you've become an enemy to the public now when you could have just accepted this subpoena and not been used as a harmful pawn. Wow, that's crazy. Well, I guess I got to go find out what's going on. Her grandmother's Rosemary Clooney. Yeah, I knew about the George Clooney, Rosemary Clooney connection. And all right, guys, I need a drink so bad. Water, not alcohol.
I'm not going to start drinking this early. But if I come back tonight, I will definitely have alcohol. But anyway, just stay tuned for Wayfair's response. They are going to slap this ridiculous document down so hard, and they're going to come with receipts that these people did not come with. And we're going to see just how stupid all of this is. So anyway, thank you guys so much for coming and for joining and for commenting and being here and sharing this outrage with me so I didn't have to face it alone. And have a wonderful day. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a good court day, but we'll make the best of it. Anyway, I'll probably be back later tonight. Have a good day.